he kind of, mentoring me about life, about football, about being a man. He kind of gave me all those things that my dad should have gave me, but it came from another guy. So just having a father figure, like you said, it may not be your dad, but having that father figure is definitely essential.
All right, what's going on? We're here with the Millennial Take again. I think this is episode 4. It's good to see y'all.
Yeah. What's good? What's up, people?
Nothing much. Just happy to be here talking with y'all. This is almost like the routine at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to keep this going. What's new? What's new this week? How y'all doing?
Can't complain.
I'm doing good, man. And the way me. So the way the sports world's shaping up, I'm just happy to hear things are moving in the right direction. So I'm doing great.
So I'm good. I'm trying to start a new morning routine, but I need to commit to it. I'm sure that'll make me start having a lot better days and stuff. So that's what's new for me. It's not necessarily going great because I haven't committed to it yet. Yeah.
Once you get in the routine, I know, I started mine maybe 2 weeks ago. Girl, now I don't go to bed later than 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock is I'm in the bed. I turn the TV off and I get up, make my little breakfast, go to the gym. It just, once you get in it, you'll see the benefits.
That's the goal. I feel that.
I'm taking a shower, getting ready for work at 10 o'clock. Dang.
Yeah, I'm not.
I don't miss that night shift, man. I don't miss it.
Yeah. I'd be struggling to go to sleep at night. I'd be up to about 2 a.m, just chilling on the game, trying to probably sipping a little something on the hookah or something like that. But I still get up at no later than 9 o'clock though. So.
Yeah. And my first goal was to actually be out of bed by a certain time because I'll be awake. And then I kind of wanted to push myself to say honestly, if I was going to bed at the time I need to, I really could get up a lot earlier than that. But, I'm trying to figure out what's a good natural time for me that feels good and just commit to the time I need to be in bed and when I need to wake up. That's the first, sounds easiest, but it's just like you said, T-Dog, I'd be sitting there I guess I'll fall asleep now, hour and a half later. It's
They be like that.
I know what I did because I used to struggle with that too, especially with my phone. I'll just find myself scrolling on random stuff. But so I be in bed by 10 at 9 o'clock. My phone is on the charger away from me. I don't even be on my phone for the last hour. And I'll find something a nice calm movie, nothing there's a bunch of killing or anything like that. Yeah. And as soon as the 10 o'clock hit, I've already kind of wind it down so I can just easily go to sleep.
That's some good tips right there. Unplug.
Gotta hit them rain sounds or that babbling brook on Alexa.
Oh yeah.
that babbling brook put me right to sleep. Boy, it'd be bloop,
bloop. Right.
That's true. That's true. I know them.
I'm not gonna lie. I stole one from a noisemaker from a baby. Well, I didn't steal it, but apparently she wasn't using it. Right. Right. Apparently, her mama was like, she got too much stuff. Y'all want this? I was like, yeah. And I was like, dang, baby's got it good. When I was using that, I was knocking straight out.
Ain't the baby
sounds.
You need them resources when you got something to do or you trying to go to sleep. Got to be up in the morning because them kids, boy.
You gotta do something.
You gotta do something. Also, another thing that helps is your bath soap. Me, if it's not eucalyptus, peppermint, tea tree oil, something like that kind of scent, I don't even use it because those things, they're good for stress relieving and just kind of the overall winding down kind of thing.
Yeah.
Lavender.
That's interesting how that works. Your skin and the treatment you put on your skin helps for like reducing stress. I know they even have like I didn't see like Dove have like stress relieving body wash, and I'd be like, huh? How that work?
Yeah.
It's
them scents, baby. You hear like
aromatherapy is real.
It is so real.
It is. I got some sleep lotion upstairs. I got lavender in it. If I can't go to sleep, I rub that right up in here. Put on that bad boy. Telling you.
You're so adorable.
They have for babies, like the Johnson & Johnson. They have like the Sleep Baby line. So it's lavender and something else.
Johnson & Johnson.
From all my friends that got baby, they be like, shoot, your baby won't go to sleep. Rub me down for this.
Yeah.
It helps. Well, I tell you.
It's true. And we getting older too, so we need our rest. For real, for real.
Need it more now than I used to. I used to be able to go to bed 3:00 in the morning, be up 6, 7 without issue. Now I'm like, I'm delusional. I need a nap.
Right.
Facts. I wanted to touch on this. I wanted to say rest in peace to Rayshard Brooks. Yet again, this we having the same issues going on. I see a lot of like really it's just a lot of people because I believe there's no like entertainment or things to distract people. It's like a lot of people are really showing their heads on this, especially on Facebook, and which is what's the word, very cowardly to me because it's on the internet, but people love to just voice their opinion on the internet. I was seeing the family of Rayshard Brooks speaking, and it was on live, and it was so many people just commenting about how he shouldn't have resisted and this, that, and the third. Like, even though the case was, if it would have been any other type of person, if they would probably let them go or simply drop them off at home. Versus because he had a very, it didn't seem like he was too intoxicated with me when I watched the video of him talking to the police officer.
Yeah, like I was like, he wasn't argumentative. He wasn't like aggressive. I think like any reasonable person would see it as somebody who didn't want to say explicitly, yeah, I had too much to drink, because obviously, self-preservation. You don't want to go to jail. You don't want to get in trouble. You just don't want to say those actual words. But he admitted that, like, yeah, I couldn't focus really. And I guess the intent, if the intent is to protect and serve, then you should have helped protect him, help him get home safely. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand why that can't be an option, or why it hasn't been an option to just drive people home or take their keys and be like, yeah, you got to sleep here and we're going to come back and bring it in the morning or something.
I definitely say, as far as like the people that at this point are choosing not to understand, my thing is the police are not supposed to be judge, jury, and executioner. That's not their job. And so we can't give them the green light to do jobs that's not their job. I mean, ultimately, everyone as a United States citizen has the right to a trial, has a right to go, like, whether he was drunk or not, it shouldn't have ended with his life being taken. So they can sit here and try to paint it however they want to. Shouldn't have did, whatever the case. At the end of the day, it's not their job to be executioners, period.
Yeah, I don't think that any of the conversation of he shouldn't have this or that makes any. It's like nobody should be losing their lives. Like, people should not be losing their lives when it was not a whole, life-threatening situation. A fight, honestly, is not life-threatening.
Right.
Not always. But a fight is not life-threatening. And so it's like, even with that, people, did have comments like, oh, them officers were just mad because they got owned. Now, granted, they did get owned. He definitely, he held his own with him. And he probably was the type of dude who said he'd go out with a fight. I know there's a lot of people who, in my life, my loved ones, who told me, like, if anything go down like that for me, I'm fighting. I'm sorry. I know that breaks your heart, and that's how in that split second, most likely, he was like, oh, hell no, because if y'all pin me down, if y'all have me handcuffed, at that point, I really don't know what you'll do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I could be just like George Floyd with my hands behind my back with your knees on my neck. So, I mean, I definitely understand. It's especially for me, I tell my parents all the time, I'm strapped, licensed. And if it ever comes to the point where I feel like it's me or them, I'm taking somebody with me. So, in essence, I think that's kind of where his head went. He was like, I'm not finna be George Floyd too.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I would not expect that. They probably wouldn't expect that from you either.
That's that Texas. That is exactly what that is.
Right.
That's that Texas. I mean, but that's one thing. I was looking at a podcast. I think it was T.I.'s podcast, and they were saying the South is very different. Like the South, we like the right to bear arms is a real thing. Like you got to protect your family, and that's what it is. So
yeah,
even Dave Chappelle said it. Or no, I think I was watching. It was Shay, on the Black Lives Matter Netflix thing. He was like, if the First Amendment should be, I have the right to say whatever I want. The Second Amendment should be, I should have a gun too to defend myself.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah, definitely. My family actually next weekend we're doing a family outing. We downloaded some Groupons to the gun shop up the street, and so we're going to the shooting range like as a family. Like that's going to be our little family day or whatnot. And I definitely think not just for what's going on, but just in general, Black people should definitely start investing in protection for themselves, for their homes, and everything. And make sure when you got one, you can actually use it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Responsibly.
You can't be scared and confused.
Yeah.
My grandpa, he was an avid hunter, and he used to always say the worst thing that anybody could do is be a scared person with a gun, because you'll most likely hurt yourself before you hurt the person that you're trying to hurt.
Yeah.
True.
And I know we mentioned Derek Grace before too. I let my kids know, because it's not. I don't want the thing to happen where you see a gun in the house and you get curious.
Right.
So I mean, I lock my guns up too, but at the same time, in my room, you don't need to be there, first of all. But second of all, if you see it, not to be playing with it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I definitely think that's the new kids now, like you hear more stories of, tragic accidents with kids, but it's so different because, I grew up, like I said, my grandpa was a hunter. My mom is actually a better shot than my dad is. So I've always been around guns, but we always were taught kind of like, hey, we don't use these against people unless the people are a threat to us. And because my grandpa was a hunter, he was like, I use this to feed our family, blah, 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 woo, woo. So it kind of took the curiosity of what a gun was. So it made you not even feel like you knew what it was, so there was no need to play with it.
Mm-hmm. And they created the boundaries.
Right.
That's what's up.
That's real.
I have no gun education.
Well, I mean,
first.
Yeah, it's all preferences, because I know some women that don't want that or are scared of weapons. So I mean, it's all about preference too.
Right.
It's coming.
I definitely say if you're not a gun person, because my uncle ended up marrying a woman that's like, no guns. Yeah. And so I'm like, well, get her one of them key things that got the little jugga, get her some pepper sprays, a taser. Something you got to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So Juneteenth is coming up, y'all.
Yeah.
And so y'all have plans?
That's what's been keeping my spirits up, to be honest.
Right.
Something to look forward to, finally.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm actually, me and my friends, we got a beach house that we're going to be going to, barbecuing, water balloons, water guns. We're going to have some fireworks. It's our 4th of July. We lit.
Right.
That's real. Right. And that's the day before I'm leaving for Tampa, so I ain't really doing too much besides packing.
Where you might as well go get a plate from somewhere.
Listen, get you a plate from somebody.
I'm scooping at somebody cookout. What you got? Let me get a plate.
True. Let me know the moves, man. I'm gonna have an Airbnb in the city, so I'm trying to be around.
Oh shit, we need to be at your
okay. I know, right?
I'm like, why you don't host a little everybody BYOB, bring your own bottles, and you know what I'm saying? You bring some beans, you bring the plates, you can bring the chicken. We good on your mashed potatoes.
So bring it. Right. Oh Lord.
You crush your potato salad. You got raisins.
Oh,
raisins in the potato salad. Oh man,
you ain't never seen the video?
Why? I was so hot when I saw that. Bro, I was so hot when I saw that. I was so hot.
Well, I might not never come back to their cookout.
Oh my gosh, people make all this stuff so different.
Like raisins.
They've been blocked.
Oh no.
Some things you can't make healthy.
Don't even remember their name.
Oh man. All right, so it is also Father's Day too this weekend, so it's a lot going on.
Definitely.
Yeah, so with that subject, I want to get into what a father figure means in our community. I know I grew up with a father and a mother in the household, so I feel like just fathers, and me being a father as well, it hits home. I'm a mentor, I feel like, for some of the kids at the Boys and Girls Club I work with. So, I mean, just a father figure in any sense is somebody I feel like who shows, who shows the example, who gives you example of responsibility, of course, protection. And he's just, somebody you feel like, I feel like a father is always like the fun figure in the household, like, because usually the mother is always caring and stuff like that. And mothers are very essential in every family, but I feel like the father is too, or a father figure, because, you just need that balance.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, my dad was definitely the funny one too. But yeah, I would just want to uplift Black men and Black fatherhood, because I feel like, for so long we just have so many like negative kind of like thoughts about like Black fatherhood and their presence. And I just, over the years, I've gotten to a point where it's like, as my peers have become fathers and stuff like that, I've met more guys who have full custody of their children than what people would think.
Right.
And it's just like, I know a lot of men who are like super proud to be dads. That's like one of their favorite roles in their lives. And I just want to be able to say, like, I appreciate you, Black men. And we see y'all, and we know that y'all we know that y'all are here for us, and not this image that they try to portray out here.
Definitely. That's one of the things that I love about social media now, is that because social media is something that we can control. So, we may not get to see the images we want to see on television and movies just yet, but especially during quarantine, I've just seen so many videos of Black dads interacting with their kids, teaching their kids, reading with their kids. I mean, just doing everything with their kids. And it's such a great thing to see, because I know, my dad, that's my everything. I'd be like, my dad said such and such and such and such.
Right.
So, he is extremely influential into my life, so I know how important they are. And so I'm so happy that social media has taken the wave that it has to, highlight Black men in a way that we don't really get to see.
Mm-hmm.
See, definitely. And it's so interesting to hear y'all's perspective on that, because y'all are talking about how y'all had the fun dad, or, the dad that Abe was talking about, how, shoot anything her dad say was law, like shoot, like it's cool to hear that perspective, because my dad, I did grow up with my dad in the household, yes, but I mean, was he present? Not necessarily. Every memory I have of my childhood is with my mom and my sister. That's, you know what I'm saying? Like, and for my dad to have been in the household, but to not to be in any memory, that's troubling to me. It's troubling to me.
I definitely think that, the dad that I talk about is the man that stepped up for me, so I definitely think, a minute left with him. I definitely think that, dads, even though there's so many positive things, there's definitely some dads that can do things differently. But the beautiful thing is that we're all about to be in a position where, you'll be a dad. And so you'll take the things that you can appreciate from yours and also do differently with your own.
Definitely. Because he definitely taught me a lot of things of what not to do. But I was fortunate enough to have a Little League football coach that I met at a very young age. And he kind of stepped into that dad role. He he kind of, mentored me about life, about football, about being a man. He kind of gave me all those things that my dad should have gave me, but it came from another guy. So just having a father figure, like you said, it may not be your dad, but having that father figure is definitely essential to not even just women, but to young black men. You know what I'm saying? You need that father figure to know how to become a man. Like, it's just, there's no rule book to this stuff. They send you home with a TV. You buy a TV. They send you home with a 3,000 page manual to tell you how that thing works. You know what I'm saying? Something you can figure out simply. But being a man,
how to become a man.
Manuals for this stuff. So it's complicated out here. So you need everything you can get. So when you can find guys that aren't even fathers that can just step up into those fatherly roles, man, you got to cherish those men, man. You got to cherish them.
Oh, yeah.
That's facts.
I wanted to say, what DeMarcus was talking about, the father figure aspect as well is really important too. So I had mentioned All-American, and as I know, I'm late. I actually thought I was a lot further along until I went back to it and realized I was not far along at all. So I really just got into the second season over the past couple nights, and I love how they talk so much about how even if sometimes even if you don't have that father figure, and I know we're talking about fathers because Father's Day is coming up, but even with your mother, a lot of people deal with that as well. Excuse me, that you just still want that connection, even if they've broken your heart many times or broken promises. You still want to give them the benefit of the doubt, and that just shows you even more about the show's good because it really does show how children yearn for that connection, no matter what. And I think that just goes to show how important parents just really are in someone's life, or a figure who you can trust. Unconditional love is really only found a few times in life, if not once or twice. Most other people's love is conditional. So that's why my Father's Day is so important, because you really want to make sure that those father figures in your life know that
they're appreciated.
You appreciate that unconditional love. You notice now as an adult, as a 27-year-old woman, I now realize you really have spent years sacrificing for just me and never complained about having to come through for me.
I definitely say from a woman's standpoint, my significant other is so much like my dad. And that was not the intention. I did not go out there I'm going to find a man like my daddy. But, as I sit back and just, especially now that we're in Texas, so they're around each other and stuff like that, the way that they just interact, they got a whole bromance because, they're so much alike. And my mom's like, you really went and found your daddy. And I'm like, it wasn't the intent, but my dad was such a good dad. And he made me feel like there was nothing in this world I needed to worry about. Why wouldn't I want a man like that? So, I definitely think from a woman's standpoint that, men, if you're not taking your role seriously, you should definitely watch this podcast and start to do that, because you're basically laying out the format of what a man should be like to your daughters.
That's very real. I've noticed that a lot, honestly, that the women whose fathers were very hands-on in their life and very influential in their lives, they tend to gravitate towards men that are like their dads. And I found out, and I kind of figured it's because that's your first true love in real life. And you know what I'm saying? Of the opposite sex. That's your first true love. You know what I'm saying? He pretty much is giving you the outline of what a man that is in love with you should treat you like. Right. And if he checks off all these boxes, then bam, that's the man you need to be with. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I feel like that's what's so great about a dad for the woman's perspective, because it shows you what kind of man you need to be looking for you. What kind of man, how he need to be treating you, how he need to be acting towards you, all this stuff. If he not acting like this, boom, 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 kick him to the curb, get the next dude. So that's, I have found that to be dads to be very influential in women's lives, and they kind of gravitate towards those kind of types of men when they get older.
Right.
Very interesting.
Right. And what it boils down to is, I mean, family, which is the core of, I feel like, everybody's existence. Like, that's your legacy. You feel me? So you, like, how you were raised are usually the crowd of people you gravitate towards. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the same thing with the respect thing is like, your father is somebody who instills that respect. And as a, like, raising a son, that's you explain to your son how he should behave when he goes out in public. And then when you see the lack thereof, that's where that comes from, because they want that. Even like I think I was reading an article or something like that, or it might have been a song I was listening to. But usually, like, a lot of kids that grow up in the neighborhood and get involved in gangs, they looking for that love of a family that there's a lack of. You feel me? Right. Protection, or stuff like that. You feel me? So it's like, I mean, it all boils down to wanting that fellowship, and
right.
You know, you said what?
Mm-hmm. I said security.
Yeah. Your father is your first coach, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's just like that. And I've had other coaches and stuff like that I also look up to, and mentors. I mean, they're all father figures when it boils down to it. So, mm-hmm. I mean, that just lets you know how important and influential that person is to people.
I think the beautiful thing about the Black community in itself is that even though my dad was such a good dad, I still had, luckily for me, a Black teacher and I had a Black man coach at some point, and they showed me a different side of Black men. So I definitely think that even if for Black men, even if that's not your child in particular, also take very seriously your impact on that child's life, because even though you may not be their dad, in the short sense, you are, influencing them in some kind of way.
Yeah. Actually, that's so crazy that y'all mentioned that. I remember one day, well, I'm glad you mentioned that first off, because yes, like, also teachers out here who don't have children. And I know it's a few male teachers who are like, love being teachers. And I know that it's because they love making that impact. They love being there for those kids. And that's like just really something that's, I love that about our men. But I did want to say, I remember somebody on Facebook one time had mentioned like, how many black male teachers have you had in your lifetime, or how many years did you go through school before you had a Black male teacher? And that made me think, and I was like, dang. For me personally, I probably had 2 or 3.
I had 2.
And I'm in DeKalb County, Georgia.
I had 2.
Like that's weird.
And the first one I didn't get until 7th grade. So I went through all my primary years, before I had got a Black male teacher. And the 2 that I had, like I said, they were very different as well. But, one taught science, one taught math, which, that's a whole thing in itself. Because
right.
Them, but
yes.
They were both very different in different age ranges too. But I love them both. I actually have both of them on Facebook, and, we keep in touch and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely hope that, and I've noticed a lot more Black men enrolled in teacher programs within, the millennials. So hopefully the next generation don't have to wait till 7th and 8th and 9th and 10th grade to get a Black teacher.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I had no Black professors at Georgia State. Yeah. I mean, I think some other people in other schools of like, what's it called? Like schools of like College of Business, Arts and Sciences, and other like departments had Black teachers, but not in mine.
It's interesting that y'all have had, because honestly, I was just sitting here thinking about it. I have never had a Black male teacher in all of my years, college, high school, elementary. I have never, me myself, ever had a Black male teacher. Now there have been some in the school that I went to, but I have never personally had a Black male teacher.
Wow.
So how does it feel to always know that you're the strongest person in class? No, it was great.
It feels good since I had that football coach, man. And I feel like he's the reason what made me want. I feel like that's why I fell in love with football so much. Because it just taught me so, having that coach at a young age to teach me how to be a man, and then football is teaching you all these other things about life, just all the lessons that football was able to teach me is why I fell in love with the sport. I feel like that's why I started coaching myself, because of that impact that you can have on these kids, like especially the ones that don't have fathers or the ones from different backgrounds, like coaching the white kids. Like the white kids, oh my gosh, coaching those little kids, they're awesome. I love coaching the little white kids. And like their parents are so appreciative, bro. Like when I was retiring from one of my leagues, from one of my fields as coaching, it was the white parents that came and was like, oh my gosh, we love you so much, DeMarcus. We were gonna miss you. So it wasn't the black ones. The black ones just sitting back talking shit. Like, oh, I can't wait till our next coach get in here so we can win another championship. You know what I'm saying? It was the white ones that was coming up talking about their appreciation. I like them white kids, bro.
Which I was going to mention too. What you also fail to realize, since we're talking just about fatherhood and father figures in general, you may have been the first black male figure that influenced them in a way that they're like, well, wait a minute, the TV says something different. You know what I'm saying? That you may have been the first person to be able to counteract what the rest of the world is telling them to believe about us. And that in itself is powerful.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. You're very true. Because you're right. Because I had the young ones, the 5-year-olds, 5 and 6-year-olds. So
right.
Yeah, that's very much so probably their first influence. Yeah,
that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So I mean, it takes a village. It definitely takes a village. But yeah, I don't think I've ever had like my own teacher either. I definitely had one professor in my last few years of college. He wasn't black, but he was Hispanic, and he was a director. He was a music video director for, like, he did Tupac's videos. So he was maybe like 40. So I kind of connected with him. He actually got me a job at KSU. So I mean, shout out to him. He was pretty dope. And he was Hispanic.
Yeah.
And like, we had a close relationship. Like he used to call me on my cell phone like a couple times a week type stuff. So, but
I mean, man, the Hispanics and the Indians sometimes be trying to look out for us young black kids.
Oh yeah, they're minorities too. So you know,
I was about to say, minorities gotta look out for each other.
Yeah, they be like, come here.
And you know, Hispanics, they stick together, I think, more than any other culture that I can think of.
If one of them, they bring in the whole crew.
So family oriented, bro. Like non-racistly, they be having like 3 families in one apartment, bro.
Exactly.
Can't no other culture have 3 families in one bedroom apartment and live happily and be harmonious. You know what I'm saying? That's,
you know what I'm saying? A lot of times it is out of necessity, as we know, like who all can actually get a place. But like, you know, in my experience of talking to some other Hispanics who were from different countries and stuff like that, one of them in particular, he was Mexican. And he said that, like, actually, this was like a whole year ago when basically the same ish was happening, black people continuing to be killed, and conversations were being had at work. And he mentioned how, like, they tear each other down really similarly to how we do that in the black community, of how it's like, why can't we band together? Because us tearing each other down on V103 and stuff like that, I think one day I was pissed about that. That's why I was talking about it. Because it was like all this police violence, all this stuff, and you're just trashing people at like 7 a.m. Like, for what? And it was upsetting. You woke up on it. Yeah, and he said that happens in their communities a lot too. He feels like they could do a lot more too if they were more cohesive.
I mean, yeah, there's negatives and positives to Eric's situation. Go ahead.
Yeah, I never knew that, though. I would have thought the same thing. Like, oh, yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's always a group of them. But, yeah, it takes someone who knows to tell you, I guess.
I definitely say, like, being in Houston, you know, the demographics here is predominantly Hispanic. And, you know, graduation, school plays or whatever. Hey, and then he got about 13 people sitting on the road to cheer for him. But I will say, in the Hispanic community, they also deal with a lot of colorism is a big thing for them. Also, we kind of blanket Hispanic as a black community, but for them, they'd be like, well, I'm from Mexico. Well, I'm from El Salvador. Well, I'm from Brazil. We ain't the same. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the Africans do with us.
Well, not even just with us, but even amongst you. If you go to Africa, like Ghana and Kenyans and Nigerians, like they fight over country. you know what I'm saying, they fight over country versus, you know, African Americans, whatever that is. Yeah. That's a whole nother subject. But you know, we don't know, so we just be fighting.
Fighting for black.
Be fighting.
You know, the islands be doing that. The Jamaicans, the Haitians, the Dominican Republicans, like all of them, they all be talking about, don't you ever tell me I'm from Jamaica. Blah, blah, blah. We black. Yeah. We black.
Especially Haiti and DR.
Oh yeah,
they share the same island. They can't get together,
and they can't get along. They on the same island.
Yeah, but I mean,
she's like, I gotta sip some water on that. Both of y'all had to sip some liquid. Listen, where's my beverage?
Madness.
But the good thing I feel like is, like I said, information is being spread and a lot more people are being educated. Like I was looking, I think it was on social media, the Malcolm X clip, and he was like, black people one day are gonna realize everything that's going on, and once the black mind becomes woke, as a whole, black people will begin to educate themselves as black people do, and not what we were taught. You feel me? And I feel like we're seeing that unfold before our eyes. I feel like it's been sped up because of all the events that's been happening. And he was like, the last thing he ended with, he was like, no court, no government system is going to make that happen. It's going to happen with the black people like revolutionizing.
Yeah, which is funny you mentioned Malcolm X, because, you know, he was a part of the Nation of Islam for a long time. And I know, like, at one point my mom, she was kind of going that route as far as religion is concerned. And one of the things that she used to always say is that, like, when you show up to, I don't want to chop it up because I don't know if they call it churches or not, but when you show up to their places of worship, the black men are out there opening the doors. And she was just saying, like, if it's raining, a black man will run out with an umbrella to come bring the woman in. And then they also have their own schools and their own daycares and stuff like that. So I know, like, as far as the Nation of Islam, you know, they are all about educating them, you know, us about, you know, self. So I think it's funny that you mentioned Malcolm X, because he was, you know, a part of the Nation of Islam.
Yeah, very true. And the Nation of Islam still to this day is a very powerful force, especially in our prison systems. They're the leader of the prison system, especially educating brothers. They have the most power. No gang can touch them.
And really evolving people.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people go into jail, you know what I'm saying, and come out either completely converted, or, you know, at least they walking around with, you know, their holy texts and stuff like that.
Yeah, they just are, you know, more principled at that point. And T-Dog, I feel like I'm glad you brought that up, because it's with like how once people start really waking up, then they'll educate themselves. And really, I think it's been sped up by social media, because I'm not afraid to admit I'm sure I would have gotten to a point where I was seeking out, you know, books and things like that at some age. But I wouldn't have been 21, 22 sitting in my class learning about Trayvon Martin right there on my phone, you know, and being so moved that I asked my teacher, can I write a new speech? Like I was like, oh, I know I already did my assignment, but I'd like to do a new speech, please. Like I was pissed. And I think that kind of stuff is what sped it up. It's like, it's in our face. And even if you just look at your own life and you're like, okay, I've started reading more and blah, blah. I'm starting to learn more because I'm curious. And once you realize you don't know something, then you're like, I need to go find this out. And then you start talking to your friends, and you realize more of your friends are reading, more of your friends are doing research. And that's how you realize, like, this is actually a little bit more spreading out than just me and my little group, which is like, that brings me a lot of joy and hope for the future. Because I think a lot of us are like you said, I'm not going to count on school to go teach me or my children or my nieces or nephews about what our history is, because I know they're not going to. So I'm going to make sure that I'm teaching them.
It's funny you say that, and even the milestone for you being the Trayvon Martin case, because that I was 16 at the time, and that completely broke everything that I thought, because of the environment that I lived in. I knew that it was out there, but it wasn't in my face yet. And by the time that, like I said, that I was 16 when Trayvon Martin happened. By the time I was 18, my first tattoo was an ankh. I had, been reading books, and I went off to college. I came back, I cut all my hair off. I'm natural because in my head I was like, there's so much stuff I didn't know, and now here I am trying to make myself as knowledgeable as possible, because the last thing I wanted to do was become somebody's mama and not be able to teach them everything that has been completely erased from our, from the history books, the textbooks, and just self-knowledge in itself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that y'all bring up a good point of it being in your face, and that's why you're starting to see, that kind of what forced you to wake up and kind of do more research. You know what I'm saying? I really feel like that is why we're starting to see movement in the Black Lives Matters movement. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've tried this before with other, we've seen this happen multiple times before. We tried protests and all this other stuff, but it came to no avail. We got nowhere. But the fact that we're actually making moves now, we're seeing companies come out with like Black Lives Matters quotes and comments, and people supporting, and people pouring into the Black Lives Matters movement. I feel like we're seeing more of a support with that because of the COVID, because everyone. We've taken all these distractions away from everyone. You're not looking at all this other stuff. The only thing that's on TV is Black Lives Matter. Black people getting killed. That's literally the only thing that's on every station now.
Yeah, you actually have time to sit there and realize, like, oh, dang, 3 weeks ago this happened. It's like, oh, it randomly happened as well in Houston and Atlanta, again in
Washington D.C., Atlanta, Baltimore. You know what I'm saying? Like, you hear it more often. Like, there was a guy back in February or January back in Florida, got shot in the back, handcuffed. Man was handcuffed. Got shot in the back because he's running away from the police. They say he reached for his gun. The gun was in. You see on the video that the cop, after he shoots him, you see him reach and take the gun from the man's front, take him out of the front of his pants. So if I'm handcuffed behind my back, how do I reach for a gun in front of my pants and try to threaten? And I'm running away from you, and you know what I'm saying? So it's you start to hear this stuff more. Like, in the past, you could just brush it off like, whatever, because everything was distracting you. But now that we have this COVID and everybody's at home, there's nothing else on TV besides this stuff. I feel like that is why we're finally starting to make movements. Finally starting to get going.
It's funny you say that, because I've been seeing at protests, white people out there like, it took me a while, but I get it now. Or I'm sorry it took me so long, but now I understand. And I think that, like you said, because we're just sitting at home, they turn on their TV. On Tuesday, a black man was dead. On Wednesday, another one. And they're like, okay, now, god damn, wait a minute. Now, everybody can't be doing something wrong.
Exactly.
Something that we've been saying for, ever, we know, but, for everybody else that it's not, it doesn't affect them personally. So it's easy for them to ignore. But now that it's in their face, they ain't got no choice.
You ain't got all this stuff to distract you. You ain't got the ESPYs and the champion and the NBA championships and you know what I'm saying? You ain't got all this stuff to distract these huge events to distract you, and and not even just the stuff on TV, just events in your area. You know what I'm saying? Like big concerts, things like that. You don't have
a really great point.
You gotta sit at home, and you gotta listen. That's all you can do.
You can't even celebrate your birthday.
I had a Zoom meeting for my birthday. Like this, you're right. You can't.
Right, except for the fact that what white people have to realize is, for our celebration, it's the fact that we're still alive. Like, when rappers are saying stuff like they didn't expect to make it past a certain age, they're not playing. And it might not be just about police brutality, but it's like, it has to hit them that the morbidity and that we feel is real.
Right.
And, it can crush your soul, but that's why we're the strongest people on this planet, because we still be out here freaking, having fun, dancing, cooking, joking about everything. I mean, we joke so dang. I'd be like, black people, come on.
Right.
And
even funny you mentioned that too, because I've been doing some work with a white woman here lately. She's in her 50s or whatever, and last night we were talking, and she was like, I just read Misty Copeland's book, the first black ballerina. And she was like, for someone who all the chips were stacked against her. And, I mentioned to her, I was like, you read that book, and that's the reality for so many. And so when you see the party and the smile and the dance, we're really the flower that rolls through the concrete, because everything is against us. And yet, and still we find the muscle to just keep on keeping on. And so I definitely think that because everyone has no time but to, witness us for what we are. And honestly, real folks, they looking like, I know I couldn't have did it.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah, it's very true. And to touch on appreciation again, I feel like every day should be, a celebration. It's just like, when our funerals, it's a homegoing celebration. So, I mean, it's always a celebration of life, because, tomorrow's never promised. So it is what it is. And to appreciate, I want to touch on this too, to appreciate Black fathers a little bit more. I feel like, we should always just, I've been seeing this circling around social media. It's just, like, women aren't the only people that need to be spoiled. Men need to be spoiled too.
Spoil my man.
So I mean, let your your girlfriends know that, because I mean, and I just seen Prince Donnell. I think you touched on that before. Prince Donnell was talking about this. Like, a lot of men, we get caught in the rat race trying to spoil women and do all this, that, and the third. And it's about finding, like, really what you should be looking for is finding you a good woman. So where you ain't got to waste all that money out there, and somebody that's going to, treat you like you treat them.
Yeah. Right. So that's my question. What's a great gift to get my daddy that's not a tie? Or actually, I might get him a massage. But I'd be like, he's the type of guy where if he wants something, he probably already went and bought it or or ordered it or something. And I just want to know, he's a busybody too. He's a busybody. So me having him sit down, like, he might like a massage, but for him to sit down and do that, he's gonna be thinking about all the stuff he want to go do and how I threw off his schedule. So give me some good gifts.
Say, like, I'm jealous that your dad, like, my dad is the type of dad where he just go out to work and make money and come home. So it's easy to shop for him because he don't really buy stuff for himself. Like, he'll mention something that he like, but you know what I'm saying, he ain't gonna go buy it. So since your dad goes and does it anyway, you should look at, like, stuff that he needs that's useful for him. Since he's a busybody, you know what I'm saying, I don't know what that means, if it's busy for work or busy whatever. Maybe you can get him something that could kind of make his task simpler, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's real. I don't have respect for my dad. He an Omega. I done bought him every Omega thing on the man. He like the golf. I done bought him every golf contraption on the man. Make his swings go down. I don't know what that golf is. Yeah, I just buy it because they sound good. Whatever.
He probably need one of these.
It's like I go to the golf store, be like, what's good for an amateur golfer that's probably not that good?
That thinks they're a professional.
Right.
But, he ain't that straight. So, handicap probably about a 300. What can you get for him, But at the end of the day, my go-to, honestly, is shoes, bro. Like, I just get people shoes. When I can't think of what I can get somebody, shoes. Shoes expensive. They durable. You get hella wears out of them. It's like it's thoughtful. You know what I'm saying?
It is. I mean, because you need shoes. Too.
If he needs some shoes, but also because he a busybody, maybe you know what I'm saying. His shoes, he needs some new insoles or something. So just go and get him a new pair because he's so busy.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, that might piss my mom off. If he had some more shoes, she'd be like, "His shoes so big."
That's
They're always in the way.
That's the struggle.
But he does love shoes, though.
See?
So since it's about him and not her, I might get some shoes.
There you go.
There you go.
Or you could think of something he don't do, like massage, or maybe a pedicure, or I don't know. Like if he likes to go out, you can do something different when y'all go out. Maybe go to I would say a sporting event, or
he does,
do that right now. But
I'll take
that pedicure if you don't want it.
Look,
The what?
Wait, my toes a little crusty right now. I need a little help.
Girl, I need the pedicure.
Hey.
I know you can go in there now, but I don't know.
Look, I'm still scared. I be in there with my mask on, like, hurry up! I need to get out of here.
Right? I don't know.
I ain't going in none of these places. That's why you still see the Brillo pad up here. I ain't going nowhere until I know it's safe.
That's right.
Well, they need to give us.
So, since you a father, what you want for Father's Day?
Yeah,
that's a good question. I don't know. I ain't good with giving gifts. Like I said, I'd be cool with a pedicure. Something for the car, you know. Give me a free car wash or something.
Right.
Matter of fact, I've been looking at the lights. I'm gonna get the LED lights on the bottom of my car.
Okay. Yeah,
that's nice.
Fancy.
That's nice.
I mean, you know how dudes are. We like our cars.
They love y'all LED lights.
And you know the lights on the car lights on cars is just sexy. I don't know what it is.
It is.
Inside, bottom, outside. It don't matter where it's at. Lights on the car. Lights on the car.
Like.
I will say that's one thing about you about guys. Like y'all love your cars. Like, even if it's not that it has to be nothing super souped up or anything, but it's yours. And like, I realize that's that investment that y'all will spend money on before. That's one of those things that y'all will spend money on that before like a necessary expense that you might be like, I can put that off, but I really wanted to get some new tires. Like,
look, my baby needs some new wheels.
There you go.
Right.
I remember I had a Camry. It was brand new. It was just a damn Camry, but I treated that bitch like it was a Lamborghini, bro. Like that was my baby.
Dude, I can't wait for a new Camry.
Look, meanwhile, back at the ranch, if I didn't have car, baby, I would have no new tires. Matter of fact, oil change. Look, Dad, they said I need an oil change, but I don't know what kind of oil I get. Thank God for time. Thank God for time. Now I just get him the car and say, hey, a little thing came across the dash and said I need a maintenance. So here you go.
Look, do your dad do lawn work?
Yeah, do your dad do lawn work?
Get him a new lawnmower. Yeah,
you know what? I feel like he's always wanted to ride a lawnmower. That's definitely one that he will be so happy about.
Lowe's got a sale because we actually, for my dad, they have an outdoor patio, but we're redoing the whole thing because he's a cigar lounge kind of guy, but everything closed. So we basically turning his patio to a cigar lounge.
Oh my God.
So baby, we've been building stuff and doing all this crazy stuff. Wait, when this video going up? Because you gonna watch it. I want to know.
Right. It'll be okay a few days after.
Just tell him we ain't record this week. Just tell them we skip a week. That's dope though. A cigar lounge, that's lit.
I'm pretty excited about it.
Man, he gonna like that a lot.
Get him a TV with the LED lights under it.
Oh, my mama bought him a TV. My mama just came in with a 45-inch for the patio.
Hey.
I'm real big on, like, I'm a DIY fiend. I love to make stuff. So I'm actually building a couple of things to go out there, which I love gift giving. That's why when you said women that spoil their man, I do because I like to. It make me feel good on the inside.
It's like, you don't like it?
Look, when I give somebody a gift, I be sitting there like, don't open it.
Right. You open it now? Let's step away. I need you to open this now.
Right.
Open it. Look.
Yeah, I really do wish I was a better gift giver. I'd like to be more thoughtful. That's something about, like, my own, personality, I guess, that I want to enhance, is being more thoughtful and actually taking that time to sit down and say, like, okay,
what they like.
Yeah, because I'm not very good at, like, last minute, I need to get a gift. What am I going to get? So I need to probably start really saying, like, okay, if I want to go to this party on Saturday for this birthday, let me sit down and give it some thought about what I want to give. Oh, my dad.
Just definitely like as far as your dad is concerned, just look at things that he likes to do or something that, like, a lot of times people will mention things that we don't even realize that they mention it until we sit down and think about, like, I got to get a gift. And 9 times out of 10, they probably done mention something that you could buy as a gift.
That's real. That's real.
Even if it's just a nose hair trimmer. Because they got long nose hairs.
Oh yeah, he really is. Yes, you're a good one. I'm gonna start hitting you up. All right, I got a friend. She's 22.
I don't know. I feel like I put that nose hair trimmer on the same level as a tie. Like, you know what I'm saying? You give me a tie.
Really?
Yeah, you know,
like, that's way better than a tie.
What if you do a kit? What if you do like a male maintenance kit? So it got like some whatever his favorite cologne is, a nose hair trimmer, like maybe some moisturizer for his face.
Okay, that's good. If you got a little kit with it, that's cool.
Like a little kit. Little, you know, if he got a beard, like a little shaver, you know,
some shaving cream, beard oil. I like that. That's cool. Yeah, if it's a kid, then cool. But if you pop up and you got me a nose hair, thanks. Don't expect nothing extravagant for Christmas.
It's like,
you know what I'm saying?
Oh, girl.
All right, well, I guess we're out.
Bye, y'all. Stay safe out here.
I need a meal. I think we lost DeMarcus too.
Oh yeah, I was like, what's wrong with?
We're gonna make that the thumbnail this week.
There you go, right there.
All right, man. Take care.
Right, peace.
Later.
I'm back on. I invested in myself, that mean I'm black on. I did this from out the trenches, that's my backbone.